Hello everyone, welcome back to another session by K21 Academy, and today our expert trainer will be discussing about the complete examination registration process, and we'll be discussing about what topics you should focus on the most to have the best from this exam. So watch the video till the end.
Exam registration process. Okay, so first of all of you are requested to open this link in your browser, favorite browser. What you can do is you can simply go to your browser and just search for Terraform Exam. Okay, just search for Terraform Exam and you should be seeing the first link that will be from the HashiCorp. So this is the first page which will be available as a result from the Google search hashicorp.com/certification/Terraform Associate. From here, you can read this page about the Terraform certification. Okay, basic skills of prerequisite and the exam details. Your exam will be for 1 hour, which will cost you around 70.50 USD, plus of course the locally applicable taxes. And the exam will be available into English language. Once you clear the exam, the certificate will be valid for 2 years from the day you clear the exam. Okay, so Terraform will give you a badge which will be from Credly. You can use that badge to share it on your LinkedIn profiles, or you can also use it in your CVs. And that certification will be having a unique credentials to authenticate, which will be valid for 2 years from the day of receiving the certificate. Okay, when you receive that. These are the topics that we have covered about the objectives. So in here, what you will do is you will be clicking on the register for the exam. You click on this button. It will redirect you to another page. There will be having some articles from HashiCorp. Okay. Welcome to the HashiCorp's Cloud Engineer Certification. So basically, once you clear this exam, you will be as a HashiCorp Cloud Engineer Certification you will be getting. Here, you want some reference materials. You can go for the Terraform Associate study materials. There are other certification materials also. This is the website which was have the study material that you can use. Some reference material only, which will guide you from the some exam objectives. Some type of questions you can say you will get here. Just you need to create an account to track your process. Okay, just account that you can use, and you have different providers also here that you can use. So once you are on this page, when you click on register for the exam, it redirects you to another page where you will be having some different materials. You will have to scroll down. It's very important to please read all these message, okay? Because when you are taking an online exam, there will be a proctor who will be checking your name on the system matches to your government issue ID card. So you must be using an ID that matches to your name, and of course should have your photograph, okay? And after that, just go through the other details about the ID. If it is not in English, if it is in some other language, then what are the different prerequisites for that. And once your proctor is okay that everything is good, then only your exam will be released. Okay, you should always read the handbook for all the necessary information about taking your online proctored exam. So if you click on this will be basically about the different requirements that you have, okay, about the appointment details and other technical. If internet goes in between, what happens, okay, what are the retake rules, how to access your results, how to access your badge and certificates. Okay, so these are the different details that you can always navigate to. Once you have read all these, which is very important, you can click on this option called click here to go to the exam platform. Okay, once you click on this hyperlink, this will take you to the exam platform where it will ask you to log in with your GitHub or with your HashiCorp account. Now it's very important that when you are appearing for the HashiCorp certifications, be it Terraform, Console, Vault, anything, you should have a GitHub account. Okay, so if you don't have a GitHub account, you will have to create one. I hope all of you have done that on the last day of the training when we were doing Terraform Cloud. So you can use the same credentials. It will be using the same username for you. Okay, you can click on continue with GitHub. It will ask you for the GitHub credentials to provide, email ID and password which you are using on GitHub. it will send you an confirmation link on your GitHub, which you will have to confirm. So if you see this, this is what we were just walking through. Register for the exam, you read the informations that what are the informations for your registration. And if you don't have a GitHub account, create a new account. It's mandatory. Okay. Once you are done, click on to go to exam platform and click on login with GitHub. Once you will log in with the GitHub, you will be asked for a verification mail code, which you will receive on your respected email address that you will provide. And once you provide that verification link, you will be asked to authorize HashiCorp to read your data from the GitHub. Once you authorize that, you will be all set for different examinations from HashiCorp. Okay, so you will be having different options here: HashiCorp, Vault, and other exams. So you have to select your exam, that is HashiCorp Certified Terraform Associate. Okay, you'll click on Schedule Exam. You will have an option to click on Schedule Exam. Once you do that, it will ask you to provide your first name and last name. This is how you want it to appear on the certificate, and your other details of your certification. So be careful while providing the first and last name. Okay, and use the same email address that you have used for the registration. Others will not be accepted, will give you an error. And once you have done that, it will ask you to schedule your exam. Okay, so you can select your country and your time zone. Very important, be very careful with the time zone. If you are in a different time zone, select your time zone. Okay, be careful with the UTC plus minus hours, and select your local time zone and select your date on which you want to schedule. And after that, it will have you slots. So for example, let's say if you are saying that I want to go on 8th of October, so what are the available slots? It will list you that. Afternoon and evening slots are mostly available. Mostly you will only get afternoon and evening, no morning slots will be available. Once you select the slot, it will ask you to click on continue. And once you do that, it will ask you to pay for the certification. Okay, so you might have a discount coupon, but for this, I'm not sure that we will be you will be of course using different options to pay. Okay, you have a coupon that you can apply here, or else you can use your credit card to pay your exam fees. Okay, so once you pay your exam fees, that will be $70.50. You will be redirected to the payment gateway page where you can define your payment details. And once you have done that, your exam confirmation will be done. Okay, so this was the quick 12-step procedure for your exam registration. And if you want to reschedule your exam or something, then please make sure that you keep a reminder of 48 hours. Okay, the moment you schedule the exam, please set a reminder in your mobile phones to remind you 48 hours before your exam, so that if you want to reschedule, you can do that easily, because after that it's very challenging and maybe the schedule is also not possible. Okay, so keep that in mind. So this was a quick process for exam registration. So let's go ahead and talk about what all topics that we have seen from day one. So first of all, we talked about the concepts of infrastructure as a code. Okay, and the different approach to define your infrastructure as a code: imperative and declarative. We talked about the process, that how your infrastructure as a code can help you in versioning also. Okay, we discussed about the Terraform to provision infrastructure and define your entire infrastructure configuration as a code. Okay, this is having a support of multiple cloud support. Okay, and provides you a simple tool to use, which you can use across multiple clouds and services. Simple language to write your configuration: HCL, HashiCorp configuration language that you can use. We talked about the installation. We did talk about installation, where we first of all installed the Terraform. We installed Terraform, and after that we were able to install the Azure CLI for the authentication. Okay, and once we have done that, we used an editor where we were defining our configurations. Then once we discussed about Terraform installation and Terraform concept. The first thing that we talked about was the providers. So what are providers? That are the basic plugins that you are downloading to connect to your different cloud or different other providers. Okay, so you provide the provider block, and in there you define, if you want to go to a specific version, you can define the complete configuration block, and you can give the version also. Okay, and this will download the version for you locally in your system. Once you have the provider, which is the first command. So what is the command that we use to download the resource provider in our system locally? What's the command? Init. Very good. Thanks, Venkate. So Terraform init is what we use. Now, after that, we also discussed about the provisioners. We discussed about provisioners, basically, which are the last resort that you should think of for configuring your uh, infrastructure post provisioning. Okay, so if you have deployed a virtual machine, now you want to do some post deployment tasks, then for that you can use provisioners. Okay, so provisioners basically will be used to manage or to configure, I should say, your infrastructure post provisioning. Okay, so we discussed about local exec, remote exec, and file provisioners. Three types of provisioners. But remember, if your provisioner is remote that you're using, you must connect, okay, via SSH or via WinRM if it is a Windows or a Linux machine respectively. Okay, then we also discussed that we can handle the failures, because by default, tell me what happens if my provisioner is having some error. What happens to my resource? Your resource get tainted. Tainted means a forceful recreation. Okay, so we can handle that error by saying on failure continue. If you don't want it to be tainted, then you can say continue without tainting it, or that's the by default behavior, that is fail, where it taints your resource. Okay, so this is what we discussed about provisioners. Then we talked about the Terraform configurations file. We have different configurations files which are used, and once we use init command, it downloads the resource providers for us. We have .tf vars file that we can create. We can create different Terraform files to keep our infrastructure properly distributed in across the code, so that we can easily manage them. So we have different configurations. We have different file for variables. We have a different file for the Terraform state, that is .tf state, that maintains my infrastructure information. Okay, then we talked about the configurations, where we had discussed about different types of variables. So we talked about different ways of applying the variables. You can do it from the .tf file, from the .tf vars file. You can also do it from the command line. You can do it from an environment variable. Okay, there were different initiations that we discussed about variables. And when we talk about the precedence, then we know that the environment variable is having the highest precedence. Then comes tf vars, your CLI, and other configurations that you have defined. Then we talked about the data type and output variables. So by default, in data type, we have string, number, boolean, and in collection, we discussed about list, map. Okay, we talked about list and map basically, and also about sets, which was basically like tuple only. We talked about those data types and how we use output black to basically output any attributes of your resource once it is created, so that we can save that into our output block and can refer to it in future whenever needed. We talked about the data source. That's a very important concept. We talked about a data block, which basically helps us in day-to scenarios, where once your resource is created, using that resource information, you want to create some other resource. Okay, so you can fetch the data of that resource and use it elsewhere in your infrastructure as a code definition. That is what we talked about, the data sources. Then we talked about the functions. So we saw that in Terraform, we only have a support of built-in functions. So there were different category of functions: numeric, string, collection, encoding, file system, network, type conversion, hashing, and crypto functions that can help us to achieve our task. Okay, we cannot define our own function, so we have to always do a workaround by using the concept of functions, variables, data types that will help us to achieve our task. We discussed about the dynamic, that is your split expression, that if you are creating multiple resources, okay, then you can use for each. That will help you to iterate over a specific data type, okay, and then you can do the same task for each resource that you want to create. And when you want to output any attributes, you can use a split expression to iterate over all the elements of the list. Then we also talked about the graph, Terraform graph, that basically creates a visualization of your entire execution plan or your configuration, which you can always use for demonstrating and explaining it to someone who is from not technical, and can also use it to understand the flow of your entire infrastructure. Then we saw there was a file called tfstate, terraform.tfstate, that is actually responsible for storing all my current infrastructure information. So we can manage that locally as well as remotely. So we saw remotely there were different options, like we can use it from different providers, okay, and then there were command to work with those tfstate files directly, like terraform state rm, your list. So different commands are available, like Terraform state list, your pull, your push, your RM, your show. So these are the different types of backends that we have available remotely. Your Artifactory, Azure console, from your etcd, from HTTP, from Kubernetes, and the list was very long. Then we talked about the modules, that what you can do is you can create a package for different configurations that you have created, and you can share it. Okay, people can use it. And when you also want to do something, first see if there's a module available. That will make your life more simple and easy. Okay, so there were different sources of modules that were available. We have seen it from the HashiCorp itself. It's available from your registry or terraform.io. We saw it's available from GitHub, from Bitbucket, from FTP repositories, from HTTP repositories. So there can be different sources that we can define for our source of our module. And when we are using it, we just use the module block and we give it a local name. And then we define the source, that where our module is present. And what are these? What are these parameters here? Anyone? In module block, what are these that we have defined here? We have given the values for each one of the RG locations. What are actually these? Why are we defining this here? Yes, so these are my variables, correct? These are my variables that I am using in my modules, So these all are my variables, required variables, correct? Okay, you also have optional variables, which will be having a default value. If you don't define it, we take that value. Okay, so these are my variables. So these are the different modules that we had. We have the modules available from different providers also. Okay, and these are the different modules available from GitHub, Bitbucket, HTTP, S3, GCS, and many more. Then these are different commands that we were using to initialize our resource provider: Terraform init, okay, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, Terraform destroy, different commands that we used. Tainting and untainting a resource, forceful recreation, okay, to destroy and recreate a resource when you want to maintain your desired state. In that case, we use this Terraform taint, okay, and we can also take the Terraform CLI also, where we can use it on Azure CLI as well to import and to create our entire infrastructure. And towards the end, we also saw the concept of Terraform import that basically helps us to import an existing infrastructure. So let's say from the last decade, your company is running your infrastructure on cloud and it's being managed from the different cloud administrators. Now they want it to manage from the Terraform engineers. Okay, so first of all, you will have to import that infrastructure on Terraform. Okay, create a TF state file and define the different attributes for that. So that is where we saw that how Terraform import command is going to help us. This will basically help you to create a .tf state file. Okay, but you need to first define the configurations in your .tf file and then directly run Terraform import with the subscription ID of the resource. Okay, and that is where your import will be done. We talked about the workspace. Basically, what is workspace, which will help you to create different working environments in your one local system only or remotely. You can maintain different state files for your different environments. So we saw a couple of commands to create, to list, to select, to switch, to show, to delete your workspaces. And towards the end, we talked about the Terraform Cloud and Enterprise. We saw that how we can get more advanced features in the Terraform Cloud or Enterprise version, okay, where we discussed about the version controlling system integration, VCS. We talked about the Sentinel policies, cost estimation that we saw. We saw that how Terraform Cloud Enterprise can help us to set up the, enforce some rules, get a cost estimation of our resource that we are deploying. Okay, policy check by Sentinel, that we can use Sentinel policies, but you will have to learn Sentinel language for that, or else you can take help from different community and blogs from internet to use some already existing Sentinel policies. And here you go. Choose your options, please, and put in the chat. Okay, we have got some answers. D. So what resource dependency information is stored in TF state file? Both implicit and explicit dependencies are stored in state. Correct. That's your answer. Next, true or false? Terraform will sync all resources in state by default for every plan and apply. Hence, for larger infrastructures, these can slow down Terraform plan and Terraform apply commands. True or false? True. Okay, correct. If you sync all the resources in state by default, and if the infrastructure is very large, of course, the plan and apply will slow down your sync. Next one, you have created a custom variable definition file named as myvars.tfvars. How will you use it for provisioning an infrastructure? Very interesting question. Need to identify the syntax. You will have same types of question in your exam, believe me. Okay, very tricky, similar options which might confuse you. That was very quick. C. Okay. Terraform apply -var -file. Okay, and then my vars. Okay, correct, because we are provisioning it. Okay, so we will use it with apply command. We'll pass our option there. That is -var. What's the benefit of abstracting parts of your deployment manager configuration into templates? B. Ensure that one resource is critical for another. Okay. Some says allow you to abstract part of a configuration into individual building blocks that you can reuse. So let's understand the question. Question is, what's the benefit of abstracting parts of a deployment manager configuration into small templates? So it's better to have a small building blocks that you can reuse again and again. And I think the answer should be A, so that we can manage each one of them. Okay, we are not depending upon the resource creation to ensure that first this file will be created. That's not the way, because even if you define the order, it will not go in the order of definition of a resource. Which of the following value will be accepted for my variable? Interesting. This is a very tricky question. That's why we are getting different answers. That's good to see. Somebody says it's A, somebody says it's C, somebody says D. Nobody goes for B. The correct answer is D. You can go for A 15 also, as well as for B 15 also. Both of them is correct. You can try this when you're doing it on your Terraform local system to understand this more better. Okay. All these questions are also available to you on the portal. You can access them later on as well. Question number 6, select all features that are actually available for Terraform Enterprise. So what all did we saw on Terraform Enterprise? Multiple answers you have for this question. C and B, cost estimation and cluster Sentinel. Okay, that's correct. C and B will be there. So A, D, and E. Next, which of the following is considered a Terraform plugin? This is simple. Yep, provider. That's correct. Moving towards the last, which one is the right way to import a local module named console? This is interesting. Local, very important. Okay, it's referring to as local. Select 2. These are, you can think of, like a replica to type of questions that you might accept in a certification exam. You get questions like this in your exam. Okay, it can be from different concepts, but this is how the questions will come. So we have BD, we have BC, B and D, B and C. Okay, there's a difference of module. Okay, I don't think we say module, but that can also be a way if we have a directory called module. Yes, that is also fine. What about others? So see, the question is very tricky. Question says that which one is the right way to import a local module named console? So module name is console. It's not saying that it's inside directory called console or some module or something. It's directly just that there is a module called console. You have to load it. They're not asking you that there is a directory called module or something. So the option D is not applicable. No, option D is not applicable because they're not saying that it's inside a module or something. So you can't imagine yourself. So option D is not applicable. B looks good. It can be from parent directory. We don't know what's the name. That's very good. That makes sense according to the question. C is also good from the current directory. A, we're not giving the path, so A is not applicable. So correct answer is B and C. Great. This is how you have to understand. Okay, so you have to stick to the question what you have asked. Don't think and don't imagine yourself that if they're saying module, there can be a module directory. No, They simply ask console, okay, this is the way. We don't care what's the parent directory or what's the current directory name. Okay, this is interesting. What is the purpose of local exec provisioners in Terraform? B and A, very good. So first of all, to invoke a local executable, that can be anything, or you can also execute commands on your machine that is running Terraform. Okay, not on the target host machine. Last question, what is the purpose of command Terraform plan hyphen refresh is equals to true? Not use a refresh a lot, but if you use it, I told you that this is basically used for updating. So what updating? Updating all the resources or updating the state? Yes, updating the state basically, because you're doing a plan, not an apply. Okay.
So, guys, I hope you really liked our session. If you're somebody who's completely new and you want to study the exam content from start to finish, then please check out our free class at k21academy.com/Terraform02. Under this free class, we'll be covering a lot of topics like cloud and DevOps overview, cloud automation tools, Terraform, cloud formation, Ansible, Chef, Puppet, infrastructure, automation, IAC, Terraform for beginners, what, why, and who should be learning, Terraform certification, extending Terraform with Ansible, Chef, Puppet, etc. We'll be giving you a demo of VM deployment in AWS Cloud using Terraform. And the best part is, we'll be covering a lot of job opportunities and how you can get better pay in your Terraform job. So, all you have to do is just log on to k21academy.com/Terraform02 and click on book your free seat now. Select your event date when you're available. Moving ahead, add your name, your email address, your phone number, and click on yes, proceed ahead. Now you'll be seeing this kind of link at the extreme right. Save this link, add it to your calendars, and I'll see you in the free class. Till then, take care and keep learning.